So yeah, hello everyone. Thank you for joining our fifth community call at AI Product Hive. Really glad that all of you are here. So I'll share my screen real quick. We've got a pretty tight agenda for today. So can you see my screen?
I do.
Yes, amazing. And it seems like the hotkey for slide sharing is not working for some reason, but yeah. So today we'll have like I guess the main topic of our today's call is Valentina's presentation of the tool that she's working on. And apart from that, we'll have like, if we will have time, we'll have like a small discussion that I would like to bring to this call, because I've had a really interesting conversation with one of our community members yesterday, and I'd like to discuss that since like the question was about product management and the best way to get into that field. And since we've like got a lot of really skilled product managers over here, probably that might be something interesting to discuss. So this is how the agenda looks like. 5 minutes, like small community highlights from the last couple of weeks, what we are doing and what our plans are. MindAgent demo, discussion, and yeah, the best way to become a product manager. That's the topic that I wanted to discuss. So community highlights. We've launched our new website. Hopefully I fixed all the spelling issues there, but yeah, should be fine. So it's not like a mobile first for now, but yeah, we're like, I've received a ton of different updates and like suggestions from the community members. Thanks Vanilla and Val. So those are like extremely useful. We will implement them as we go. But yeah, you can check it out, aiproducthive.com. Yeah, and if you have any issues, please reach out to me directly or drop a screenshot into the community if something is not working right. We've launched our LinkedIn and Twitter pages. So as you can see on the left is the LinkedIn screenshot. We've got 19 followers there and 12 on Twitter. So Val is kind of busy with LinkedIn while I'm hanging out on Twitter. So I'm at the second place right now. So probably there will be a small competition there, but we'll see. Val, so you're on the call. We'll see how that goes, I guess. But yeah, challenge accepted, I guess. Almost 300 community members. This is also a big milestone for us. So probably until the end of the next week we'll hit this milestone. So the number of members is currently increasing. The number of active members is like kinda on plateau right now. So this is also cool. This is not declining. So yeah, great to see the activity from all of you, and yeah, keep up the good work. As been mentioned before, we hit that record button. This is our 5th community call. So yeah, thank you everyone for joining those and sharing the experience you have. This is absolutely brilliant, and I'm glad that we are bringing this value to the community. So yeah, that's it for me. I'll give the stage to Valentina to give the presentation about the MindAgent, and we will discuss that later. So I'm stopping sharing my screen.
Can I share my screen?
Yep, I think you should be able to.
Let me check.
Hey guys, I'm here.
Hi, Val.
Just in
Hello.
time for Valentina's presentation.
That's right. Snuck in the door.
Okay, so nice to meet you, everybody. So
Yeah.
I would like to present today requirements management tool that I'm working together with my team. So the idea is to gather all the requirements that you have for the project and to structure them and keep them in one place so that it won't be lost somewhere, and so that everybody should be on one stage, and so that we really decrease time on all the reworks, discussions, clarifications, and so on, because our investigation showed that it really takes a lot of time on gathering all these requirements and then writing them, especially if you don't have much experience in this. So I won't go deep dive into main features because we can have a look at our real product. Yeah. So I would like to.
Can I ask real quick, Valentina? I'm going to interrupt. This may not be the last time, but let me ask, are you the founder of the company, or are you working there, or what is your role in all of this and your background?
I'm co-founder of MindDGM, and I'm working 5 years as a project manager. For automotive projects.
Okay, so you were building, you had this idea from your own experience then.
Yes, exactly. This is exactly my pain, that I have started to work from home.
That's good. That's the best kind of projects, are the ones where you're solving a problem, at least for yourself and probably for others. Yeah. So cool. Please go ahead. I just wanted to have that background.
What we have right now, we already built MVP version. And of course, we are going to have more and more features, but let's see what we have. So first of all, the first step, that you create your own organization. Inside of organization, you create the project that you are going to work on. And inside of this project, you can create different documentation and requirements. Currently, we have a plan that we will structure them and divide. So, for example, brief and project proposal, it will be like documents, user story, epics, it will be requirements, and specifications, it will be separate block, to a little bit organize it, everything, and divide it, depending on the purpose and who does it and so on. Because, for example, brief and proposal, it's something that manager works, and this is the work with the stakeholders or customer, and user stories and UI specification. This is something about when team works together and they get these requirements for further implementation. So let's see on the example of brief. Usually brief is created. If you would like to get your first notes when you have your first call with the customer, so what we provide here, we provide already standard blocks with the main topics that need to be covered, like objective, background, target audience, and so on. You can use this and already like type the answer and describe everything that you need here. It either can be fulfilled by you as a manager, or it can be fulfilled by the customer. It depends on the process that you have. Then you can also create your own element if something is missing here, or you would like to build your own template, I would say. With the current one, you can delete or you can edit them. So let's create a new one. Like, for example, overview. So here at this step, we already provide you the possibility to generate description with IE, so that you already have any idea how to describe it and not to brainstorm by yourself. And in case you don't like this variant, or you provided your own description, what needs to be fulfilled in this section, you can improve it and get the further variant. and then you can check it, and if you like it or don't like it, you either cancel and move back to the previous step, or either save it and it appears here. So also you can work with the current one, and here also you can improve them already. Also you can comment and mention somebody, for example, tag and put comments like something is missing here, please clarify, and so on, like a notes regarding some special blocks, or either it could be document notes if you would like to leave any remarks regarding the whole document in general. And after you completed the answers, for example, it's after saves your results, so you can go back and it will not be lost. And after this, after you completed with this, you also have the possibility to export it to PDF file. So I will show you how it looks like. So it looks like this. You have brief with your name, with the components, description, and the answer.
So would the product manager be the person that you anticipate is filling this out, or the product owner, somebody like that on a new project? Is that the concept here?
Yes. So you just you have already the template, what kind of information is needed. So here you take notes, and this is like your first step, your notes about the idea and the project that you're going to work on. And with this information, you can go, for example, then to a designer and start a discussion. Okay, so we need to build this and this and that. Okay. Or you can just make a template and send to customer and ask us, please fill in, so that he just answers your questions. Yeah, so you can make this description as detailed as you would like, and not to spend time on meetings. You just get the answers if it's enough for you, like this.
I'm going to tell you, I'm going to jump in and tell you something I've been thinking about, and I'm curious if this application will handle it. I've found in my experience, and even more recently, I've had this kind of rediscovery that getting information from a client is really hard. And it's not a matter of asking them, hey, what does your thing do? Or what is it supposed to do? Or like, it ends up being very conversational. And it's hard to necessarily put a form in front of them and say, fill this out, and use that as a part to get started on next steps. It's usually a place to get started on having future conversations, you know, that are like, okay, what about this? What about that? Have you thought about this? Have you looked at this market? Have you, seen what other things have done? That extraction of what does the client really need is difficult. And so I'm curious if you've considered that for this type of, because if you're looking at this for a product that somebody would use who's running say a development shop or an agency or something like that, that's the big challenge for somebody on the software development product side, on the agency side, is how do you, trying to get to that point where you have a scope is the difficult part. But it's extracting information from the customer that has always been, for me, a challenge. And the value of what you do, if you're working in that position, is being able to have know the right questions to ask, and have those conversations that eventually get you to a point where you know how to solve the problem. You know what the core purpose of the app is. Sometimes the customers don't even quite have it right themselves. It's that's a challenge. I'm just curious what your thoughts are on that, or if that's been part of your consideration, especially if you're using AI here?
So actually, as I know, mostly agencies, they already have their list of questions that is prepared, and they just go according to this list, and the questions also depend on the conversation. So if it depends on the answer, so the customer answers you and you need to give some additional questions to this, like how or how much or when and so on. So what we try to do here, we at least try to give some structure. Okay, so this is the basic that you need to know from the customer in the very end. So you need to have the objective, the target audience, the key features. So answering your question directly, no, we don't give here specific questions. We can consider this fact, but according to our interviews that we had, people said we already know how to do this. We have this list of questions, but the purpose of this brief exactly is just to fill in this information and keep everything in one place and structure.
Got it.
Yeah, I've seen several tools. Actually, I've tried to give a small demo a couple calls ago about different tools that are using AI to collect feedback. So in this case, this is kind of a bit different because this is not a direct customer feedback, but more like a conversation with the person who will be the product owner, basically, of this product. So that might be a bit different here, but what I might suggest is that it would be cool to add the feature to be able to extract, as Matt mentioned, be able to extract some of the valuable insights that your clients will be sharing, and be able to pre-fill some of the information into those fields based on the call recording, for example, or text feedback or something like this. But Grace, do you have anything?
Oh, you're muted.
You're muted.
Thanks. Embarrassing. I actually have a different question. So I don't know if Valentina, you want to answer Max's question first?
Can you exactly specify what you try to ask me, whether it's a kind of feedback form?
Yeah, the idea is that there are multiple tools that are collecting user feedback with the AI. So it's relatively easy to extract meeting notes and put them into the text form, or collect some a big chunk of text data into a condensed small document with the requirements. And based on that, it would be easier to pre-fill those fields in your application with the answers from the customers, because what I would imagine the call would be, for example, we can jump on a call with the customer, we can discuss certain stuff, then AI will extract the meeting notes for us in the text form, and then your application can consume those text meeting notes and pre-fill those fields for you, and then it can produce the PDF document, for example, with the brief, and that's it.
So our initial idea was that you already can use it during your call, so not just use first one with extraction and then put something inside of this, because the initial idea is to get rid of many tools, different tools that you use for little tasks, and keep everything in one place with one tool. But I don't know, maybe we can consider some analysis in the future of AI, that you just give the file, it analyzes the text, and then just fill us in our template that we have. It could be the idea. Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks.
Grace, you had something? Yeah.
I did. So from your promise, I'm actually really excited. So after the user goes through their requirements here, what's next? Because for me, I'm assuming that you have the brief and then maybe some way there's some like a way to attach the designs and maybe another document with more technical requirements and implementation. Like I want to see how all of these usual like scattered information is connected together. Do you mind showing what's next?
Yes, sure. Let's go next. Okay, so then the next that I would like to show you is user story. So here on this step, we'll already provide you some examples of user stories that you can choose, like to see how it will look like in our service. So if you have any similar features in your product that you're going to describe, you can already choose them. And it appears here, like the examples of how the user story can look like. Or you can just create your own user story. So we have such kind of template like title. Like this, and then if I would like, then I can improve it with IE and receive such kind of user story and save it. And I have it here. Also the same topics like comments and notes also present here. Then you can of course delete or edit. Inside a user story, you can create acceptance criteria. So you can create by your own if you'd like, or you can generate with IE, and it gives you some suggestions. So you can choose from the variants whether this acceptance criteria is the same that you would like to have here. So you choose the most appropriate. And then you can continue like with the generation or creation on this. If you go back here for user story screen, also you can generate from here, like put some the words. Like any something to what it could be.
You can put like social logins.
Okay.
Social.
Yeah. So what we have here we have our database with just basic user stories that you can use already as an example, and you can add and then modify based on your needs, or you can just generate with AE if it doesn't exist here. Let's see what AE will propose to us. Okay, so here we have 5 variants, and we can read and check whether we have something that we really wanted, and if yes, then we can add it. Okay, so about user stories, we're going to make it make a bit bigger. So we also would like to add to user story acceptance criteria description field, also functional and non-functional requirements, business rules, test cases, use cases. So everything that would be related to user story, we want to add so that it will be really the basis will be user story, but inside of this you will have different blocks that you can add to describe it, or you can leave only acceptance criteria if you want to describe only this block for your purposes. If no questions here, I would like to go to the next file. Okay, so we have UI specification. I upload a picture of design. So what we have here is that machine learning detected UI components of your screen. So first you can check what was detected and how correctly it is done. For example, this is image, but this is just a graphical element that I don't want to describe, so I can just delete it. Or, for example, I can change the size of it. So like, okay, it should be like this and so on. And here it's detected like a text, but I can check it corrected to button because UI component was not correctly identified. What my next step is to describe this button. So give the requirements to this. I can do it manually, or I can search, for example, here, this is the database with our validated requirements. So here you can see the result of 24 requirements. You can go through all of them. And if you consider that they are relevant for you, and you can add, and then you can just customize them according to your needs. Let me show you. Like this.
That's clever with the the auto detection on the image.
Sorry?
That's clever. I said that's clever with the auto detection on the image for the elements.
Yes, so
Yeah.
it detects the component. So in the end, you have the component, you have the ID. So you have the ID of every requirement that you have. And the same, you can generate it with IE according to this keyword. And then in this way, so you detailedly describe every screen that you have, so that in the end, when you give these requirements to developer, so that he will not have any questions, because it will be said, okay, so password should contain this number of symbols, and it should be of such kind of difficulty, and so on and so forth. And of course, the same, you can then export it to PDF and just have it as a file and share it. Or you can copy it, delete, so you can manage everything here. So actually, yeah.
Yeah, so the functionality is quite extensive, honestly. Like the app can do a lot of stuff. So I've got a set of questions, I guess, related to that. So yes, do you have something else you wanted to share with us?
No, this is all that I wanted to share. You can ask questions.
Okay, so how old is the app? Like, I'm really curious about that, because like the amount of functionality that you've implemented is like enormous. Like the element detection is something that can take months to develop.
We spent half a year for implementation, because main part of the time, especially machine learning, it took a lot of time. So while we were creating our model and improving this, we were doing all the rest of the stuff.
Yeah, that's nice. And have you done any marketing, or it's kind of in the alpha stage for now? Like, do you have any users on your platform at the moment?
So actually, we currently gave it in a free use for everybody who would like to use it in alpha version. So we don't say that it's better, because we still can make really big adaptations. For example, until the end of this month, we will really a big change of structure that I explained to you, and we will expand user story. So and we just said about this to our target audience, to project managers and product owners, and we have some users right now, but we still do some interviews with people just to understand, for example, how useful is it, whether the real implementation the same as there was their vision when we had interviews at our very beginning of our journey, and what we can improve and which direction we should go. Because our first goal was, for example, only to create tool for requirements, and it's all. But right now we have the idea to cover all the cycle of development, like to create tickets for developers and to create test cases for testers, so that you can just don't use Jira or Confluence or something. So you can, for small teams, you can just use this product. So all the documents and requirements will be here, and developer can also check everything here, and you don't need to use like many tools and switch between them. And yeah, to make it, of course, user-friendly and easy for use, and because many, especially small teams and companies, struggle out of this.
Yeah.
My next question was, do you have any integrations with Jira, ClickUp, or any other product management tool? But since you've mentioned that basically they are your competitors, I guess, until some degree.
So first, it was the idea, like for the next milestone, to make an integration with Jira. But now, according to our research and investigation, we find out that we don't want to be competitors of Jira. We have another focus. We just want to make really the way so that the whole team should work here. Just create task and put it through statuses. That's all. So no just difficult configurations or something like this. So for current moment, no, we plan to do integration with Figma, definitely, because it will be very easy then to use.
Yeah, I was going to jump in there and say that Figma integration would be the most obvious. You did having, running a company that does requirements and UX design myself, the challenge is always that if you're always exporting designs into something else, that is a very manual and labor intensive task. And so the more that you can just have a design that, as it automatically updates, you may come in here and update your specification. That's going to be a hell of a lot easier than uploading and re-uploading images. The thing I'm curious about, and it may just be part of your target market, is that your research is telling you that you should make this tool basically a Jira replacement. And I'm curious, are those companies or people that you're talking to, are they running startups or are they running large firms?
No.
Because usually I think that would make a difference depending on who you're talking to.
So currently we define that our target audience, it's outsourced company with small projects. So it's, of course, it's not enterprise. For enterprise, they have really great hierarchy of requirements, and they have very difficult tools that they use for it. So we have already tools on the market like this that make very strict dependencies and so on. Yeah, so but if we speak, for example, about products only, also it depends on the size of the product, because if it's only 3 people working on the project, sometimes they don't need any tool. They can just use something very simple, and they even don't go inside of something more structured.
Yep. Yeah, that's right. I think Grace raised her hand. We probably all should be raising our hands. I'm not that disciplined. So every time I see you raise your hand, Grace, I'm like, oh damn it! I should have learned like in 4th grade.
No, I see you and Max as like the moderators, like the dads of this call. So you should always interject with your
please go ahead.
With your
Please.
encouragement. Valentina, like my company and I, we've been through like this type of like interview research as well in the productivity space, and it's a very competitive space. If I were to offer you a consideration, it would be to really focus on a niche, because like Matt alluded to, it's like depending on who you're targeting first, they're going to have specific requirements, and there are just so many tools out there. And so I think, yeah, like I'm rooting for you. I think that this will definitely solve problems for some teams. The only tough thing is that the landscape is still very competitive. And so, yeah. How are you feeling with, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, the main topic here is, we have really great tool for tracking the progress and productivity of team like Jira. We have a really great tool for designers like Figma, but we don't have any specific tool for managers where they deal with all their troubles, like getting these requirements and keeping them. Because every time we speak to managers, everybody has its own process. So somebody writes it in Notion, somebody in Miro, somebody in Jira. So no service that really will have to structurize something and remove this pain of having all the information in one space and asking questions and so on. And so we want to really focus on the creation of good documentation for the project. So this is our focus.
It's something just to, I'm sorry, Grace, did you have a follow-up? I don't mean to jump in.
No, I think maybe, yeah, there's a lot of lessons that I've learned, but I'd like to offer you just my love and support, Valentina. If you want to connect outside of this call, we could kind of go through some of my team's learnings. I won't share them now.
Great.
That's cool. That's great. That's nice. I've thought about this space too a lot, and Valentina, and one of the things that occurred to me was that Jira is primarily a project management tool. And at the time when I was thinking about this, is that Jira is not a good product management tool. And so I always kind of drew the line there and said, if you want to manage getting stuff through the process, whatever process that is, Jira or whatever other tool is out there is a decent fit. I mean, for better or worse, Jira is kind of the de facto standard. There's a lot of problems in terms of complexity of setting it up, but everybody uses it, or Trello or whatever. But when you think about product management, that's where I kind of divide the line. And so for things that I've worked on, I've always appreciated being able to say, hey, we don't care about what project management tool you use, we'll plug into that. But the product management, which is process irrespective in terms of execution. This is as you're talking about getting the requirements in one place. that's a product management problem as well as a product team problem, right? But it's separate than actual execution in the sprints. And so I'm kind of coming at it from the same angle, I think, as Grace, where if you focus on product management versus project management, then you give the freedom to your clients to use whatever tools they want to manage getting it through the flow. But you still have the issue of getting the data out of here because it still has to go. You know, you still have to mirror it somehow or connect it over to these other tools, right?
Yeah, so for the current moment, we just made, so to somehow cover this topic, we, for example, made the functionality of copying to clipboard. Or we also have the functionality of copy link. So you can just somehow put this information inside of any other servers because we understood that to make integration is not the step of MVP that we plan to do, but somehow we need to cover this. So we just make this a small workaround in this way. And so it just, we are thinking about it right now, whether it makes sense to make this a whole ecosystem that I mentioned to you, and create tickets and so on, or either we just need to live like this. But still, if we even add anything to other team, it will be their choice. If they want to continue using Jira, then it's okay. So you can use use this one for product management, like the first step, okay, and Jira will be your next step. So we don't want to somehow make some oh my god, forgot this word in English.
You want to force them? You don't want to force them?
Yes, I didn't. We don't want to force somebody like to use only this project. And
that's right. I get that. Are there any other questions? I know. Of course. No, that's what we're here for. That's why we hope this is helpful, is that we get to learn about your tool and your application and your efforts, and hopefully you get some free user feedback from people that are potentially your customers or users. Are there any other questions or comments from anybody on the call?
A small side note. So to extend a bit on what Grace told, the ideal way to, like, several friends of mine who are running different startups and trying to drill in a niche, they are using basically the same approach. They are going to the big platforms where you can find the clients, for example, on Upwork, Fiverr, and so on. So basically freelancing platforms. And they are trying to find the specific tasks that people ask freelancers to perform and figure out whether they are able to automate it. So, for example, in your case, I guess the good thing that might be useful for you to figure out whether you'd like to drill in a niche, or in what niche you'd like to drill in. One of the ways that you can try to figure it out, you can go to the Upwork, search for some specific product management tasks that the clients are asking to do. And for example, if some of the tasks are more common than other ones, you can try to even perform them with your software, automate them, and you even can perform those tasks for the clients without telling them that you've done that with your software. So I've seen several startups doing this kind of stuff. So they were, I guess they were translating Figma prototypes into the landing pages. And basically they went on Upwork, were searching for this exact task. They've been doing it with their software in the matter of hours. And all the clients were giving them 5 stars because they've done it very quickly, and they simply were not talking about that they've made the software to perform this activity. They were like charging for the hours, and like the software translated that prototype into the landing page for like in a matter of minutes, and they were charging for like hours. This is like
Oh
absolutely
man,
thing. This is like an awful thing to do, honestly, but this is something that this is something that works. So this is definitely not something that you would like need to do, but this is something that
Ju- just for the record, we're not behind Theranos at all. We're not
Yes.
behind taking blood and then running it in a lab instead of their whatever Edison thing. That's not what we're promoting.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's a really good point. I have never
Yeah.
thought about Upwork, and that I can find like a kind of needed work or something like this. Yeah, thank you
Mm.
for this advice.
Anybody else before we move
Yeah,
on?
I wanted to share a few thoughts, if I may.
Please.
So here's what I've been thinking while you were presenting. Great presentation, by the way. I really like the feature with UI, with the suggestions there. And while you were describing the functionality of your product, I've thought about how a lot of how currently your product is potentially competing with extensions for Jira-like systems, right? It's something that you guys have already talked about. And I thought how your product is basically trying to like provide an additional value apart from storing the documents. Because Jira, the Atlassian ecosystem, is used for like Matt said, project management things when you store these specific documents, like the user stories, the product requirements. And the additional value to that is that help get an AI to generate this information for you. And I see that in the space, the AI does that. For Loom, for example, they've started adding the descriptions to the videos. For Notion, generating the content inside the documents. So I think that the generation part of the documents can be perceived as an additional value to the products that already exist, and that's why potentially you'd be competing with extensions there. At the same time, the UI feature, I have not seen that anywhere before. I think that can be a cool use case to upsell from the basic value. And this is what I wanted to ask you about. Have you thought about what's going to be free and paid in your product? Because initially, I think that the UI feature can be tested as a prime candidate for a paid plan. What's your thoughts on that?
Thank you for this point. So actually, when we have started to develop our project, this UI specification was like killer feature, our main feature that we really understood that we will be different from other people that are trying to do something with documents or requirements or something, but it's not all. So we try to say, okay, so you do here everything, and user stories and UI specification, you do here everything, not just UI specification is available and all the rest is like something that you can skip. So in our vision, it was just that you make different subscriptions, like if you're for one member it's one price, if it's for team it's another price, if it's for enterprise it's another price. It's not enterprise but big teams, okay, yeah, it's another price, like this. So depending, it's just project manager who wants to use it for his own purposes, or it's the whole team that would like to use it for these interactions.
Got it. Thank you. And another point I wanted to make, Oh man, I gotta be honest with you. Somehow it's so hard for me to come up with structured thoughts. I'm sober. I just that I don't know. I do this rarely, and it's just I keep focusing on structuring the thoughts, and it's so hard for me. But Vanilla,
Not
you
to
wanted
worry.
to please go ahead. I'll use the time to
I'll
think
buy
about.
you some time. I'll buy you some time.
There you
Yeah,
go.
thank you.
And but I'll add to what you said, what your point is, because when during your presentation, which very thorough, it's really amazing, just like the depth of the product. I am very specific to how I organize just my own documentation, and that's through my own learnings, which I think is what Grace said and sort of Matt spoke to as well. And so I think sort of exploring beyond sort of our comfort zone is something that's, it's going to take time. Right now we're being introduced with tools and products and access to ideas that we just, really haven't, we've had to accommodate otherwise. And so now it's like, oh, this doesn't have to be this way. Until you got to the UI feature, then I was like, oh, I want that. And I want that now. And I had the same thought as you, Matt. I was like, man, if Figma had this, why doesn't Figma have this? It would just make my life so much easier. And so even though I understand that you want to, there is so much that is useful and there is a lot of value to the entire ecosystem of the product, had you not showcased the UI feature, I think I would have been like, oh, maybe not, or like, I like my templates, like they're tried and true, like I bring them with me everywhere, but thank you. But, the UI, like leading, because it is something I have not seen, that would cut, like, that is, it is a, between developers and PMs, that is definitely a very, very sensitive part in the development process, and that I think that just, like, to me, that spoke to me as a value proposition that would then lead me to, like, look and expand beyond. It would definitely be what would get my foot into the door to then be able to have more conversations about, like, the rest of the platform and seeing how maybe it could be something that could work for my team. So I do, I definitely agree with Val, like, kind of seeing like which feature is that, like, aha moment, because that definitely was like my aha moment. Like, and it's an amazing feature. It's true. I have no idea why like Mira and Figma don't have it right now. Like, it's fantastic. So not to take away from all of the amazing work that you've done so far, but I think it's worth considering, like, can you approach it from a different angle, like, so anyways, but great job. Yeah.
Thank you for your feedback. Yeah, thank you. This is also the way that currently we try to investigate how to better position our product, So better position is, okay, this is the product for requirements for all product managers, and here you can do like everything, like documents, requirements, and so on. Or either to focus on this main feature and say, hey, we have something new that you have never seen before. And together with this, we have also this, and this. So now we try to, during these interviews, we try to understand what is the most valuable for people and to what focus on. But thank you for your feedbacks. It's really valuable.
I can add, I'm back. The structure of Valentine's fashion. I wanted to say that an excellent point on the expansion of the product. This is what I'm struggling with my own AI soft skill product myself, because initially we thought about, soft skills is a very abstract, a very general term to work with. And I think that you have a similar case when you describe your product as a project management solution, because you're not picking into a pain that resonates with the users in a way that they would want to pay for it. And that's why I've started to diving deeper into specific soft skills, into specific pains of people who work with in our case, the developers who lack a specific soft skill. And in this case, the UI design is the pane that you can work with. You can, I'd say that you can revamp it into a Figma plugin and work from there, like set it up as a gateway to your main product. That's the way I'd recommend doing.
It might be that it depends on who you're talking to, right? There's a lot of people on a product team, right?
Mhm.
There's designers, there's developers, there's product managers. And so for people like Vanilla, for example, right, where, you know, she's looking at this and she's coming from a product management background and saying, oh, this is my pain point, right? So depending on who you are, your pain points may be a little bit different. It turns out all the other features are there anyway, but it's what do you lead with? You know, and perhaps leading with that UI integration with Figma to be able to expound upon and really get your requirements organized around the experience, the flows from one screen to the next and what needs to be done. That perhaps that's the way to do this. I want to. Oh, go ahead. Yeah, this is the last one because we got to wrap up. And actually, there was
one more point is about monetization.
Okay.
If your product's out there for half a year, you should start seeing where's the free and paid value too. So I think there it's something to consider for you too. Matt.
No, not at all. I wanted to. I just wanted to make sure we got to our little coffee talk in the last few minutes because there was a good conversation point there. But I guess on behalf of all of us, and I know I'm just kind of jumping in over Max here. Sorry about that. Thank you, Valentina, for presenting today, and we loved. Yeah, we love to get to see what you're putting together, and we all wish you success on it. And please stay involved with us. Please continue. I mean, you know, come back. Join our community. Come stay, have coffee. We have cookies.
Keep sharing your success and challenges to us, and we'll give our best feedback.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for the support. It's really appreciable. Because sometimes, you know, startup, it's like this way. So sometimes we are here, sometimes you're here. And it's very important when you're at the very deep dive on your way to have the strength to move forward and say, yes, it's okay, then do this and that, and it will work in the end. That's the God's honest truth. It is a roller coaster of emotions. And it's helpful to have people have your back.
Yeah, Vanilla, I've seen you raised your hand for a second.
I was clapping.
She was clapping.
But I would like to know where the cookies are as well.
Sorry, I was BYOC. I did not plan that far ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Max.
Yeah, so there's been a topic about the best way to become a better product manager, but yeah, I didn't want to interrupt all the conversations, and basically I guess I'll share that to some degree within the community, and we'll tag you so that we would be able to proceed in a written form if you'd like to take part in that conversation.
Well, why don't we ask, is there does anybody have 5 minutes left, or is it we have to end right now? Anybody have to really walk out the door here in 5 minutes, or can we spend 5 minutes on it?
I have time.
You have time?
Good
okay.
too.
Why don't you share the I guess go ahead and share the screen.
Yes,
and we'll...
yes, exactly. This is.
And by the way, I'll tell you that I was telling Max the other day that there is a community I was part of back in Austin. They had a big Facebook group, but it was like 50,000 people working in technology in Austin. And sometimes folks would have a question they wanted to ask, but they didn't want to do it publicly. You know, they wanted to do it anonymously. So they would send it to the moderator, and the mod would post it as an anonymous question to get feedback from the local community without giving anything away. And so when this person asked the question or was speaking about it, I thought, oh, this is a good opportunity to, do this kind of thing, and you know, we can all try to jump in as people that are working in various parts of our career and in product and product teams to offer our advice without anybody feeling like they're called out or anything like that. So
yeah, exactly. Thanks, Matt, for the background. Yesterday, I've had a very interesting conversation with one of our community members. So, like, I've highlighted the most important parts of those messages, but like, you can take a look at that message by yourself. But basically, he's a junior business analyst slash junior product manager, and he wants to push himself to pursue on a technical road, and that's because the technical people in organizations are more valuable than generalists. So this like kind of this idea had me like I've been writing a lot of messages to the person, like trying to put my thoughts together. But the issue that I can see here is that, like, a few senior people, they've said that the best managers tend to be the ones that do technical work. So basically, what I've understood is that this person, while being a product manager, tries to get into the technical area, spend some time in tech, work at the junior level in that field for some time, and then get back into the management position with the technical background. So what I've tried to explain is that you don't need to get into the tech area to become a better manager, because in my opinion, if you are a manager already, you can just gain that knowledge and experience on the side, like doing your side projects, doing lead code tasks over the weekend, and so on and so on, so that you don't need to actually change or switch your positions to get that knowledge. But yeah, I'd like to hear your thoughts on that, because it seems like this is an issue that is prevalent in the tech area right now. People are thinking that if you don't have a technical background, you can't be a good product manager. And I've seen this idea floating around different conversations on Twitter and among my friends as well. So
this is a long time debate.
Yeah.
Are you building an AI product? Then come join us on Slack. You're going to get professional feedback and early exposure. Links in the comments.
I don't consider myself a technical PM. There are different types of PM. There are more technical ones. That does depend on the product that you're working on and also the domain that you work in, the industry that you work in. So, you know, that is a role that exists exclusive or specific to itself. But there's a lot of interpersonal skill that goes into being a product manager. And that actually, I feel, contributes more towards your success, because you do have to work with different teams. You have to understand their strengths, their weaknesses. I think it's unfair to say that a PM has to be technical, because then you're crossing into engineering and dev team development, and your job is not to tell them how to do their job. Your job is to create an environment and support them so that they can do their job, because that's their knowledge and that expertise. I think in terms of the feedback that, like, your engineer or your dev team isn't going to trust you, naturally, if you're a bright, curious, open person, you're going to absorb all the technical terms. There is a very specific language that comes out of working in product that it just becomes the norm. And to set this expectation that you have to know everything and that is the only way that you can be successful is just untrue, I think, in life in general. Like, you should be able to ask questions and learn. If you're not learning, then sort of what's the point? So I do think that each of us as PMs do have to understand our strengths, because that's how you can sort of bridge some of your blind spots. There are so many different types of PMs. You know, there's growth, there's experience. Like, I consider myself an experienced PM. My expertise is really in which I'm developing, by the way, is in the user experience, the psychology of how a user uses the product, the context in which the user uses the product. And so that's what I bring to the table. But I also trust my dev team, and I'll actually be starting a new position in August, but like I trust my lead engineer with his technical expertise. And I trust that we have a partnership that if I don't know something, that he's going to help me with that and vice versa. And I extend that to my design team. I extend that to my QA team, marketing, sales, everybody. I think that is the misconception of a PM, that like you have to know everything. And I think that's why it's an exciting time with all these tools that are coming out where like there's more support, because there's this stereotype of like, you're responsible for, you know, for everything. So I don't know quite what my advice is, except you can reach out to me, just like Grace said that you could reach out to her. But yeah, I think your instinct is right in that like maybe the feedback that you received is not quite accurate, and don't let it discourage you, and that there's that's not the truth of the landscape out there. I'll hand it over to Grace.
Thank you. Great.
+1 to everything Vanilla has shared, and also huge congrats to you. I'm so excited you're going to start a new role so soon. New beginning. I will say, like, for technical skills as a PM, something that I would really highly recommend people to like dabble in would be understanding data, right? Being able to use amplitude, mixed panel, and being able to understand like the usage data and cohort behavior so that you can make better product decisions. But beyond that, like really in terms of like understanding how something should be built, I agree with Vanilla, that's more in the realm of engineering. Just work on that partnership and that communication, and being very explicit and clear on what the requirements are, or what the goal is, and then trust that they will deliver on the how. But in terms of technical things, I would focus more on how to build up that data and analysis skill set. Let
me follow on. I wanted to go raise my hand, but I couldn't figure out how to do it. So I just, I'm like, darn it. So I agree with what they're saying, by the way. And the original person who wrote this said that they were a junior BA, junior PM at a software dev company, and he or she wanted to push to learn on a technical route. I would say, look, the technical route is never going to hurt. So understanding how modern software applications are built in terms of front end, back end, what the responsibilities are, databases, how they connect, that architecture of how all that works is always going to help you, because then you can have conversations with the developers and saying, hey, we're having a problem on the back end, or we're trying to figure out, you know, how to partition something, or the database, you know, if it's a relational or graph database or whatever kind, right? Having at least that understanding, you don't have to go to code, right? You don't have to go and be able to code it all. You don't have to be a DevOps engineer, but you can understand how cloud infrastructure is put together, right? And those are, look, those are YouTube videos, right? You can go and watch videos and figure and learn that stuff. And there's all varying levels of super simple to super detailed, right? And you can go and watch that. And then when somebody talks about, you know, we're having a problem on our CI/CD flow, you're like, oh, I know what that is, right? And it'll help you to have that conversation. I remember when I first started my first job out of college, I worked at Motorola down in Austin, and I had such a hard time understanding what was going on. Like in meetings, there were conversations happening with other engineers, and I was an engineer, but I didn't understand a thing that was happening. And my boss came aside and told me, he was like, hey, Matt, you're not going to be useful for like at least 6 months. So don't put the pressure on yourself. Right. But what I realized was, and first of all, it took a weight off of me, but also it helped me realize that just listening and trying to learn on the job and asking questions is how I came up to speed. on all of that stuff. So I could have more intelligent conversations. It was really on the job training. At the time, this was 98, right? There was no YouTube. Now there's YouTube, right? So you could go and look up all this stuff and figure out, they're talking about this, this, and that. I can go and learn more about that. It's never going to hurt, right? So I'm coming at it from a very technical person, but it has helped me in conversations with engineers, other engineers. Primarily, it helps me to have, like brainstorming, because I end up being more technical at times, but it's by no means a requirement, right? That's by no means a requirement, but it does help. It will always help you to have a bit more of that understanding of how things operate under the hood. You don't have to go build the engine, but understanding what's happening under there and how the components work together is going to be a useful and by the way, the BA, the other person who wrote the original question, being a BA, that's a big help in product management, right? That's BA is where you get into writing the user stories at that point. So, that skill certainly translates over.
And yeah, thank you everybody for joining the call. I hope to see you on the next one.
Thank you very
All right.
much.
Thanks,
Thank you,
everyone.
everyone.
Have a great
Thank you.
weekend. Bye.
You as well.
Thank
Take care, everybody.
you.
We'll see you.
Bye.
Bye bye.